that's something that I'm constantly practicing more and more every day, is being more present. My mind is so busy and I race. My mind just races, my thoughts race. Not in a negative way, but what's next? What's next? It's always, I think I struggle to have the appreciation that I think I really need for everything in my life. And, I've been practicing gratitude a lot recently over the last few months, and it's worked wonders for me. But I think in a world, everyone is, especially here on the Gold Coast, it's so fast paced, and even the world and society is so fast paced. And I think we can all get caught up on, I think, what we should be doing or what else we could be doing, rather than just being appreciative of what we have right now. Because so many people in the world just dream to have what we have right now, and we don't, and we take it for granted.
Welcome to another episode of Planting Seeds with Soul. Raw conversations on transformation, truth, and finding light in the darkest places. You may not hear what you want, but you will definitely hear what you need. Welcome back, beautiful people. Another episode. I don't even know what episode this is actually, but welcome back to another episode of Planting Seeds with Soul. We have a bit of a special guest here this morning. To be honest, I don't know too much about this bloke. This is Lockie Welch, guys. How are you, man?
Not bad yourself, brother. Thanks for having me on. It's always nice to be sitting on the other side of the on the other side of the couch, so to speak. So, brother, I'm very privileged and honourable to have you on your space today.
Thanks, man. I'm honoured, honestly. You actually have your own podcast, don't you?
Yeah, so the Awaken Up podcast, it's basically men's mental health focused. I get a lot of guests on, talk about their adversity, their stories, and sort of how we can move forward as a collective, rather than sort of separating men from this world and the stigma that we all face on a daily basis of men's mental health. Yeah,
absolutely, man. That's one of the reasons why I wanted you on. I don't really do too much. I do a little bit of exploring online, but I do like to try and create more than I consume. But what I've seen of your videos, man, like they really hit you deep. The words, obviously, words have the power to both heal and or destroy. And what you're doing with yours, man, is definitely of healing and transformation. Very powerful stuff. So
thank you, bro.
Grateful for you and, that world within that you're projecting outward.
Thanks, brother.
The good stuff.
Yeah, it's always really nice to hear the feedback, man. I've definitely had my fair share of adversity, and maybe if sometimes I think I reflect back to when I was in my dark path, if someone was to say some of the things that I sort of project out, maybe some things would have changed a little bit for me. I think it's really important and really powerful to have someone there to, I guess, walk alongside you within life, and to be able to inspire, motivate, to, I guess, you to have a, transcend in this journey, right? So I think the way that I, want to project out my story is it's all come from, a bit of lived experience, and, maybe if someone spoke to me, and said some of the words that, I want to bring out into this world in a world full of negativity, I think we all just need someone or something to be a bit of a positive light.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's the way I like to think of it is, people that need that guidance and assistance. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's only them that can help themselves. But I like to think of it in a way as, how when you're learning to ride a kid as a bike, you've got that guardian, whether it's mum or dad or an uncle or a brother or sister, whatever. They're just giving you that little bit of a push, getting you that momentum so you can venture off on your own. I like to look at it like that. You don't always need, all you need is yourself, but we've gotten, and a lot of people have gotten to a point, especially men, where they're so lost they don't know what to do. No idea, which is real sad.
It is, brother. I think we've all experienced that too. We have all experienced, I guess, being left in the dark and, being in a place where we feel like, our days weren't worth living. And, that analogy of pushing the bike and the momentum, I mean, it rings so true, right? I think if anyone just had something or someone to be able to guide you through a bit of a lighter scale on a journey, then I think it has a positive effect on everyone around you.
Yep, absolutely. That ripple effect, eh?
Absolutely, man. I think it goes a lot further than what a lot of people intend and what they anticipate. One conversation, one smile, one compliment can really change someone's life. Yep,
fucking oath, man. I was just having that conversation with my old boy last week. Actually, he was on the podcast. That'll be a good one. He was one of the people that experienced me going through my drug addiction. So I thought it would be a good idea to have him on. So, if there's parents out there, kids out there, just anyone out there that's going through drug addiction or, for him, people going through experiencing their son or daughter or whatever through drug addiction, I thought that his words might be able to help because, like you said before, it's lived experience, it's personal experience where I think, you know, guides out there and torch carriers, light workers can really make a difference, that practical experience. Like, theory's good, but when you mix the prac and the theory together, that's where you can really make some proper shit happen.
Yeah, man, you do. And I think having, just from your end, having the perspective of your old boy, I think that would have, been a bit of a turning point in you, you know what I mean? Like noticing it from a different shoe, the shoe on the other foot, the other perspective, the other point of view. I think that would have had a great effect on you as well, man.
Absolutely. What, I wanted to ask, what, have you got, qualifications and all that sort of stuff with your mental health talks, or it's just that lived experience? That's, mate, I live the same way. I love that. I think that's the best way.
Yeah, I think, for the longest time, I think growing up, I always knew I wanted to do something in the way of helping people. And I guess, from a young age, I went through a bit of adversity with, having people around me, unfortunately, take their life, which sort of set a stone in me to, have a bit of a perspective. And that really opened me up to the message, the stigma of men's mental health. And I think I went down my downfall with, drugs and all those sort of things. But yeah, no, I think the way it comes across is, potentially I get asked a fair bit if there's qualifications. It's like, no, it just comes off the back of my own lived experience. And I guess I have definitely done some study in my own, in my own right, and definitely nothing formal. There's been the thought of, going to study psychology, but I know, man, I think the way I want to leave an impact, I don't need a degree. And so I think, it comes back to just having one person says one thing to you, or one conversation can really change your life. And I don't think anyone needs a qualification to be able to have that, impact of what you desire.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think your history is your resume.
It is, brother.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. I couldn't agree anymore.
You using those. And like this, it's funny, man. Like I said, I don't know you, but I'm exactly the same. Like if I'm walking down the beach and I see a set of footprints in it, I'll literally walk to one side of them and create my own, Really want to, walk my own path. Obviously, everything that I experience has something to teach me. Everything is a mirror to me. So I'm just sort of trying, I guess I'm trying to practice being present a lot, but, using those memories, I guess, as guidance in the present is probably one of the biggest tools I'm using at the moment as well, especially in my mornings, when I go within doing that breath work and meditation. I'm really exploring my psyche, exploring the way that I'm feeling, and just all of that sort of stuff, which is, that's me time. That's me holding space for me and exploring me. There's no one else to help me with that. That's just
man. I think that's something that I'm constantly practicing more and more every day, is being more present. My mind is so busy and I race. My mind just races. My thoughts race. Not in a negative way, but what's next? What's next? It's always, I think I struggle to have the appreciation that I think I really need for everything in my life. And, I've been practicing gratitude a lot recently over the last few months, and it's worked wonders for me. But I think in a world, everyone especially here on the Gold Coast, it's so fast paced. And even the world and society is so fast paced. And I think we can all get caught up on, I think, what we should be doing or what else we could be doing, rather than just being appreciative of what we have right now. Because, so many people in the world just dream to have what we have right now, and we don't, and we take it for granted because we're always searching for that next thing, that next high, whatever it is, whether it's business, through relationships, even internally. I think we're always chasing for that next step without holding the gratitude and the space for our own self or where we have come.
Yep, I agree, man. Like you're talking external sort of validation instead of, that within.
Yeah, just giving yourself the, validation within your own self. Like, we don't need anyone else to give it to us.
Yeah.
We have everything we need internally.
Absolutely.
And I think once you come to that, realization, I think that's when you start to see a lot of things shift for you. And when you give yourself grace just by doing things that you do on a daily basis, like, you might not be where you want to be, but you're so far from where you used to be. And I think that's something what I've had to really grasp on. It's like, we have all these things and we have all these tools and what we want to do with our life, but if you don't sit with yourself and sit with the present moment, then you're not going to be able to appreciate anything. You know. So yeah, I think in my daily practices, just being, you know, finding the magic in the stillness and, you know, stopping and smelling the roses. I think a lot of us, we drift off from that, you know, that journey of holding space and appreciation, because we're always searching for the next big thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are searching for that thing, and then, you know, I can talk from experience here. You know, you would see someone out there in the external world, they're doing really well, or what you think is doing well, because that's the way that you've been brought up. But, you know, that's following someone else. You know, that's that longing for what they've sort of got. Where, you know, and back to the gratitude thing, that is the most powerful work that I've ever done, you know. And I came across something the other day where, you know, I think it went something along the lines of when our body's healthy and doing all right, we've got a million fucking problems going on. But then if we were to hear, you know, some type of news, like terminal type of news, there's one problem. That's it. You know, like we do take a lot of things for granted, you know, even our health and that, constantly destroying it. But, you know, there's so many people out there that are doing so much worse. Like if you can just sit there and hold that space like we've been talking about and put yourself, like I've got the 3 boys here and my partner Kels. I have sat down on the beach before and I have held this story within me of something happening to all of them, you know, that they don't return back to this reality. And I feel that, and I feel the loss, and I feel the grief, and I feel the loneliness, which makes me really, really grateful for them. But I can find at times, and I catch myself out a lot with this too. That's from practice and being present. It's, you know, taking those things for granted, you know, when they're here. It's like, why can't we just be grateful all the time, like every moment? But it's just practice.
It's like if you forget the language of gratitude, you'll never be on speaking terms with happiness. You know, that's something what I've, you know, really embodied is that quote. It's when I heard it, man, I almost fell off the back of my chair. And, you know, happiness is downstream from gratitude. You know, if you don't have appreciation or gratitude for anything in life, then you're just going to be miserable, man. I think for a long time I was just so miserable and I hated the world. I hated myself because I didn't hold any appreciation for anything around me. People were trying to help me, but it never came to fruition within my own self. So yeah, that's been one thing that I've, you know, onto gratitude. That's been one thing that I've really had to, you know, embody more deeply over the last few months to, I guess, get me to a point where I am today, where I can say that I am happy and I am appreciative. But you know, it never used to be like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's been a lot of things what have come up. For me to be able to come to this realization of, you know, the power of being still and the power of holding gratitude. And yeah, I think for me, man, it's just like I want to be able to share what I've learned and, you know, share the teachings that I've embodied over the last few years to, you know, allow someone else's days to breathe easier.
Embodying it's the key, isn't it? Without that, there's it just remains that invisible force of thought. It doesn't manifest. But bro, we've spoken about a lot of good, like the good stuff about it. With how are you at present? Like we've all got, without, you can't have the good without the bad. How's your
currently right now? Bro, I'm, you know, for the most part, I'm really good, man. You know, probably the last 8 months have been really, really brutal for me. You know, I lost all my savings. I was in between jobs all the time, and you know, the universe was just, I felt like it was just beating me down to the core every single day. So I navigated that for probably about 6 to 8 months. But you know, the last 3 months, I've been really grateful, and you know, I've been noticing the teachings, and I guess currently I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked. Going through a bit of a split up, a bit of a heartbreak, I guess you could say. So I'm just navigating that the best I can. But you know, there's so many teachings in it, man. And I think I was reflecting last night, bro. And you know, it's like, what a beautiful lesson life is. Like everything is good. Everything that happens to us ends up being good. in the moment it might not feel like it. It might feel like the world is falling apart. But I think when things fall through, it just means better things are falling together. And I think just being able to sit in that currently and notice that everything's what's happening to me, it's happening for me. The universe has gifted me with lessons that's going to make me transcend into a better human being. I might not know the lessons right now, but I'm definitely aware that I will become a better person because of this, and just being more aware of, I guess, what I want in someone and what do I want in my own self, and noticing how the reactions I had from certain things. And I'm gonna say nice guys always finish last. And I think this proved it again. So apart from that, man, I'm stoked. I'm actually really happy, and I'm in a really good place mentally, physically. My life is, I'm just so grateful. Coming back to gratitude, man, I think I'm grateful for everything that's going on, and I'm grateful for what's been, and I'm excited for what's to come. But yeah, it's definitely, I'm going to say the last 6 to 8 months has been brutal. But I think finally I'm in a really good place. I've landed a dream job. Financially, I'm doing really well, and life is just providing absolute goodness. I'm reaping the rewards. I've been doing my content twice a day for a long time. Doing content for about 8, 9, 10 months. And it's only been recently that it's sort of really picked up, and I'm sort of seeing the rewards from it. So I think seeing that and seeing like my grind, come to a place where it's giving me the reward. It's like life will give you things if you don't give up. I think just by showing up every single day has led me to a point where I can, I guess take the reins off a little bit and be really grateful for who I am and where I've come from.
You feel like giving up at times, like the just with everything that
Of course, man. Yeah, bro. I think we all have that. I think you're unhuman if you don't experience that. But I think it's who you are to the depth of your core, and who you are when you're sitting in your own shit, and when things do come up, when you do feel like giving up, that's the time to go all in. And it's like everything is happening for us. So I think giving up, man. I think it's a reoccurring thought in a lot of our journey. If we give up, then what are we?
I think it's an addictive thought too, eh?
It is,
real
man.
addictive, because it's an easy way out.
It is. And I think the bigger the story, the bigger the dragon. So I think when we feel like giving up the most, that's when the biggest amount of change is coming, and that's when our biggest lessons and growth that we embody is coming from places of wanting to give up, wanting to not show up for yourself, wanting to not wake up tomorrow, whatever it is, if it's that deep. But yeah, that's been pretty big.
Yeah, that's massive, man. I like to think of it as those, when those times do come, those hard times, and I can only see this now from just looking at how things have unfolded for me, like that place of thought and belief, and that world of thought, feeling and power, that will come and go like the weather comes and goes here. Like sometimes it'll be good, and it'll feel be a lot of clarity there, and you can see and breathe, but then the storms will roll in. Sometimes it'll last for a little bit, sometimes it'll last for a bit longer than like we'd hoped, and then when those times do come, you don't really remember what the bloody light looked like, the sun looked like, and you can get lost in that. But the thing is, you've always got to have this deeply rooted thing that you set up in your mind, which is a true thing, that it will always pass. You need to anchor that in your mind, create a new sort of route there. The old one will still be there and it'll still come up, but because this new sort of pathway is true, it'll overpower the negative one. The negative one will always want to try and have it over you all the time. The mind's very sinister.
Yeah, it's like you got to learn to dance in the rain, right?
100%. Like I used to just hate the darkness, hate the pain, and I still have my dramas with it, but it's an ally. It is an ally. It's not an enemy anymore. I know that transformation happens there, and growth, just like planting a seed in the dark soil. Like it looks like it's fucking destroying itself when it's cracking open, but something beautiful is growing.
Absolutely, man. I think the person who you become on the other side of adversity is a person who you wouldn't even been able to dream about. I think if things were to go the way that we anticipated or the things that we desire, I think when things don't go the way they plan, that's the biggest lesson and the biggest blessing that we can all, have. It's like when life shows you a different aspect of, who you are or what you're capable of, that's when you notice who you are at the depth of your core.
Yep. And yeah, I'm everything too. Like I am everything, the good and the bad, just all of it into one. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Everything's good. And, I think taking accountability for when, you do have slip ups too, I think that's really important in your own journey as well, man. I think, I've made a lot of fucking mistakes. As I can, a lot of people can relate to that too. But it's all led me to who I am today. And I guess I'm in a point where I'm so proud of myself for who I've become and, what I'm currently embodying for sure.
You should be, brother. It's really good stuff. And I think what you've just said there with the accountability, that's another one there, that and gratitude. Accountability was probably where, when I stumbled across that one and deeply understood it and realised it, like that light bulb moment, that's where a lot of transformation, that was like a really big leap in the healing or transformation journey. I'll try and steer away from the word healing now. Always feels like you got something really wrong with you, but it's just evolution and transformation. Death and rebirth, not physically. I guess just like shedding the skin of a snake, something new. You got to leave that old shit behind, but to jump into the new stuff, you can't do it without letting go of something.
I think the power of letting go is something that I think we should all practice a little bit more.
You've just done that. One of the hardest ones, there's bond there, there's love there and connection.
For sure, man. And it's like I was listening to this thing and it's like, don't put your emotional home at someone else's address. Because when they rip it from you, you feel homeless in your own skin, emotionally, physically. And I think, once you're invested in someone, I think it's really easy to do, to put your emotional home in someone else. But, I think that's the biggest power that we have as humans, is to be able to hold our own and hold our own emotions to the depth of our core and not allow anyone else to take the power away from that. So I think that was a bit of a lesson for me, man. It's like, don't overinvest, which is a really really big pill to swallow. But, having to learn the art of letting go is, it's transformative. It absolutely is, and I think it's the lessons on the other side of it are, something what you couldn't have been able to comprehend pre situation.
Yeah. When the Four Noble Truths in Buddhism, that was really a good time in my life. That
for sure.
And then looking into the Eightfold Path, I guess that's where I'm at right now. Have you done much looking into that one?
No.
The Eightfold Path. There's it's like a wheel and there's sort of 8 parts to it, and right now I'm on this part. I think it's the 6th part, which is right livelihood. So I'm trying to create a livelihood in a way that serves the collective, much like you're doing. I'm still in construction at the moment, and I know that blokes in that industry need help. So that's why I am still continue to be there, but I definitely want to put my service to more use, hence the podcast and the socials, which I guess I'm sort of steering a little. I'm trying to limit that a little bit more and try and get to a more sort of personal level with this retreat that I've got going on the 13th of April. So, with the ceremonies and stuff that I do down south once or twice a year, they're plant medicine ceremonies, but this one's just going to be, immerse in nature, let nature do its thing. We're just the ones holding the space. And that's actually one thing I've found with doing the ceremonies down there with the shaman and that, he does a lot of work, and all the guides do a lot of work, and it's amazing. But at the end of it, they really just hold that space, and it's all of that collective energy there. Everyone's co-creating there. The sharing circles the next day after doing the medicine, like, that's where a lot of the magic happens. You're hearing everyone talk from the heart and, just some raw, real honest truth, and hearing what they've been through, hearing the moments that they've already lived, the ones that are hard to hear. And it really does make an impact on you when you're hearing stories of how bad it can be. you know, how bad moments can be experienced. Whew, it's like, yeah, it just makes it makes a lot of the problems that are in your life presently just sort of dissolve and diminish, because like you hear something real heavy like that, you know, like someone that was a child, you know, when their younger self who had to experience, you know, getting raped and abused, you know, physically, sexually, emotionally, all of it, spiritually, by an adult, you know, another human being. Like that's worse. That's how bad it can get, and like it can get darker than that too. So it's like, I am fucking lucky. I'm so lucky, you know, like I've got a roof over my head, doing a podcast with a good bloke right now, you know, who's helping the collective himself, just everything. Like there's nothing bad, you know. I can't really see anything if I think about it deeply like that.
For sure, man. And go back to, like, I'm still in construction too. I work 55 hours a week on the tools still, and you know, going back to, you know, sitting in men's circle too, that's been transformative for me, man. You know, I did a men's retreat at the end of last year, and you know, that changed me. You know, sitting in a men's circle and standing, we did this practice. It was called Reveal Your Truth, and we walk into this, you know, this arena, if you will, fully blacked out from the outside, so no one can see in. And there was a huge bonfire in the middle, and this was the shame circle, the shame fire. Facilitator stepped forward and he said, "Men, there's about 200 men of us," and he said, "Men, this is called Reveal Your Truth." A facilitator will step forward and he'll say something what may resonate with you if you hold guilt or shame towards X, Y, or Z, and if you do, you got to take 3 steps forward and turn around at all the brothers supporting you. He goes, and this will be done naked. So, you know, 200 blokes get the kid off, and you know, some of the truths what were revealed are insane. You know, some men who feel so much shame and guilt for so many different things that we wouldn't even be able to, you know, comprehend in our own life. Then after that, we got put into our pods, and you know, again, another shame circle. We all stepped forward and revealed our darkest truth, and you know, just hearing some of the men what have been through some shit, it does make all of your worries, you know, just sort of diminish, and they sort of dissolve into what you feel like is nothing. So yeah, man, I think the power of you know, men being able to hold themselves in space and to be vulnerable. I think the effect that it had on me, I know for sure it was transformative for sure. So yeah, I think retreats, man, they're incredible in men's circles. If anyone has not ever sat in a men's circle, I strongly recommend to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Male, female, whatever. Just, you know, if someone's creating a space and it's, you know, legitimate and their intention's pure to you know, help you find your power and help you let go of things and transform things, and I absolutely recommend it too. You know, snorting coke, you know, lighting up that pipe, or, you know, eating shit food, listening to and watching shit TV and whatever, you know, that's just soothing yourself from yourself. The real power is in letting that energy, you know, since we're all made up of energy, you know, that energy that's stored within, you've got to let that energy out. You let it out of your mouth. You actually use your words to talk, and you know, you gotta release that energy, because energy built up, it'll make you sick in all different types of ways. You know, you'll end up getting to a point where you like explode with anger or whatever it is, and that's just you purging out like you would vomiting. You know, when you're physically crook, when you can't control something, you vomit. That's your body letting go of something that doesn't serve you. It's a deep purge, and the same goes for anger. Like, you build up this energy, you know, your thoughts are sick, you just vomit out fucking words. It's a real thing, you know. You purge in all sorts of ways. You shit yourself, you piss yourself, fart, spew, cry, sweat, you know, get angry, vomit, all sorts of shit.
Coke will fucking take your soul, bro.
Oh, yeah. What was your sort of darkest? You mentioned earlier before we were on the podcast, you had a bit of a run with the Charlie as well.
Yeah, man. So go back a few years now. When I think growing up, I always sort of had a lack of self-worth. I think going through school, I was always the victim of bullying, and I was a bully myself, and I was always trying to, I guess, seek external validation from other people to be able to make me feel like I was something. And that ran through my whole, schooling years. And then at 15, I sort of went down a bit of a wrong path. I was following everyone else, trying to be the cool guy, trying to fit in, and started off with weed. I'd start smoking weed every day, and then get the bongs every day, and then it turned out I was smoking weed every single day, all day, every day, and then that went down to I started experimenting with caps at 15, 16, MD, and then 17 I had my first line of coke, and I wasn't prepared for what was to come for the next 5, 6, 7 years. It become every few weekends I'd get a few lines here and there, and I couldn't afford it because I wasn't really working. And then when I started working a fair bit, and I was putting aside money so I could be able to afford a bag, and I was only doing a bag every couple of weekends. But then I got closer with other people, and then I was being around it a lot more, and then I was getting shouted at, and then it become 2 bags a weekend, and then 8 ball on a weekend, and there's my whole paycheck. I got to do favors for the dealer so I can get out of debt and all that sort of stuff, and that sort of went on for a few years, and I got clean, and that's when I got into triathlon and stuff, and then fresh age of 20 I decided to move to Canada, so I booked a one-way ticket, and packed my life into 2 bags, and I was set off on this adventure what I thought was going to be the most incredible thing I've ever experienced. But that was the beginning of probably one of my darkest times I've ever experienced. No one could have prepared me for what was about to come, and I guess when you're freshly 20, you got a bit of savings. You're in a ski resort full of other young people who love the session. And you get around bags of $80, and it just starts flowing in. One bag was before going out.
If I had there were $80 over here when I was on it, I'd be dead. I don't know, maybe, probably.
Mm-hmm. Man, it got to a point where I was doing a gram at Prees, and then you go out, you have another gram, and then you come home for kick-ons and you do 2 grams. So it was a night would be 4 or 5 bags, but it didn't feel like anything because it was just so cheap. And that come on for a long time. And then obviously you build a bit of tolerance, and you keep going, and it turned into 3 or 4 day benders, and snorting anywhere between 15 to 25 grams to yourself.
Right.
Just sitting in a living room, going out to the bottle at 10 a.m. the next morning to restock, continuously doing that for days on end. And that was my darkest time, bro. If I wasn't on the shit, I was thinking about killing myself. I just I needed a line to make me feel like a human.
Yep.
And it got to a point where a few months in, when I was sort of at the end of a 3-day bender, I'd be lying on a floor convulsing, and feeling my body starting to shut down because I've just done 25 grams, more than half an ounce to my own self into my own nose, with no one else around me, just me being by myself, just with a warm plate in front of me, just racking up, and that was the darkness it got, man. I got involved with some really pretty high level people in that field, and there was being around guns and like that depth of lifestyle. I think a lot of people see it on movies and I was fucking living it, man. North America, it's like that place is a different place in that underground world, like that's real. There was 4 times I can recall me being on the floor of my living room in my apartment and just convulsing, shaking, hot and cold sweats, feeling my body was starting to shut down, like scared to go to sleep because I thought I wasn't going to wake up. There was one time I had a bag, it was laced with fentanyl, and I thought that was the end of it. I can't even describe that feeling that I was feeling when I was laying on that bed thinking that I'm about to have a fentanyl overdose.
Fentanyl's crazy, man. I did dabble with that, didn't know. That was Xanax bricks molded, pressed up in, pressed with the Xanny press, I guess, but it was fentanyl. Didn't get told either, which was pretty shitty.
Yeah, man. It ruined me, bro. It ruined me. And yeah, so my cocaine days, lasted as a whole, heavy on it, probably about 3 years. But I was experimenting with all these other drugs for 6 7 years. I think 19, I had a crack pipe in my mouth, and that was to be 19 years old smoking crack. I don't that something's starting to go really wrong, and that was my reality. That was the path I was going down. That was the path I chose, and but I think I'm clean now, and I don't really have any aspirations of going back to that. I think if I was to do it again, it would be purely for fun. But I'm in a space now where I couldn't even entertain the idea of getting on it again or whatnot, because I know the darkness what comes with it,
Yeah, definitely.
and I know what that lifestyle does to me, and it just doesn't align with me at all. So that's just not something that I ever comprehend. I'm proud of myself for kicking the addiction. I was working maintenance at hotels whilst in the peak of my addiction, and I'd be 2 days old doing room calls, with an 8 ball in my top pocket, in between, servicing someone's plumbing in the hotel. I'd just do bumps down the hallway and on to the next. I was a functioning addict in so many ways. It took my soul, man. It absolutely took my soul. But yeah, I'm appreciative for it. It taught me a lot, and it showed me how dark life can get. Suicide was on my mind quite often.
Did you try? That's what I wanted to ask you. Have you tried during that darkness, like an attempt at unaliving yourself for Instagram? I don't know why you just can't talk freely about things, but
yeah, I mean, I definitely was very close to putting a rope around my neck, but in terms of fully attempting, the closest I got to was I was driving my car. I was just coming off a morning, just been on it previously. I still hadn't slept, and I was just driving down this back road. I'm like, fuck this. And I had my hand on my steering wheel, and I could just feel myself twitching to pull myself into a tree, and something above, something in the car, it was just holding that wheel for me, because I was very close to just pulling myself into that tree. And I think that was one of the biggest turning points, is me noticing like I'm willing to kill myself to get out of this. I'm willing to unaliving, because I just don't want to be feeling this pain and suffering anymore, because a result of a chemical. It's got all fuck in it, you know what I mean? And that was my reality, man. And that's a story that I don't tell lightly, because it's real. It's real and raw. I don't ever want anyone to feel like I did that morning,
No. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, brother.
That one. It gets dark, hey? Like there's a saying that goes, and this is to do with drinking. Once the man has a drink, then the drink has the man. It works the same with everything. The spirit of alcohol, it'll literally take possession of you. The spirit of coke, everything has spirit. Good ones, bad ones. Just you decide which ones you want to deal with. Coke is like masked. It's got a mask on, like an angel's mask. It feels good. It looks good. But the truth is, it's just hell. Just hell disguised as heaven. There's a lot of things out there like that. But you've got to go experience it for yourself, like determine it for yourself.
Yeah, bro.
What's good and bad, trial and error.
And you could probably agree with me in this. I had a lot of good times on it. I've got a lot of good memories of being on it, but the byproduct of the usage was hell. It was horror. It was something that I don't ever want anyone to experience, because especially when you go past just the one bag phase, where you're snorting 1 gram in one line. I think when it goes past that, that's when you realize like, oh yeah, this isn't healthy.
And you're doing it yourself. That's another one you gotta watch out for.
Yeah, man. I lost count the amount of times I just get a bag and just sit in my room and just snort lines.
Same here, man. Absolutely. I used to, get on the pipe by myself as well. I still drive around the Gold Coast here, and I can't drive around anywhere around here without driving past a spot, and it doesn't happen all the time. I've made peace with these things. I've got the tools and insights on how to deal with these demons when they come up. But, I'll drive past the spot and I'll be like, and like it'll come over me like a PTSD type thing, just go like, boof, and then the memory like literally starts replaying as a visual. And I'm driving a car. Obviously, I can somehow still drive. It's like driving on the highway. You can't remember the last 15 k's you drove, you know. But you know, I'll be like, fuck, there was some, you know, bad dark times in that car park as I'm like, lighting up that glass pipe 3 days in or whatever, you know, hating on myself. But then I catch it, you know, I'm aware of it. I catch it and I'm like, you're not there anymore, mate. You're not there anymore. This is just a memory. You know, it's an already lived moment that you've, you know, experienced. You've made peace with it. You've released it. You know, you're at this point now looking down at the journey. You've come so fucking far. It's, you know, like that saying goes, you reach the top of one mountain, or when you reach the top of one mountain, it's the beginning and bottom of another one. Just have a little rest at that peak and have a breather, have a look at how far you've come, and then, you know, you got to keep climbing. Life goes on. Life
goes on, man. The sun doesn't stop for nobody, you know.
No.
And that's been a teaching of mine. It's like, you know, you got to keep living life for you and not for anyone else. I think that's been a big lesson for me this week too. You know, you can't put your life on hold for anyone else, and you know, you have to put your best foot forward, and you have to realize, you know, the worth that you embody and the potential that you do have. I think so many of us, we get caught up in, you know, investing in our emotional home in someone else or something else. It's like, you know, you got to separate yourself from everything and everyone. I think if we all had a lot more focus on our own dreams and goals and our own internal dialogue, I think this world would be a little bit different. You know, not allowing yourself to people please to the depth of what, you know, other people desire from you. I think that's been a big teaching. And, you know, if I think there's so much power in holding space for yourself and holding stillness in your own embodiments of your, you know, of your whole persona. I think, and you know, it's starting to get a little bit better now. People sort of realizing the life that, you know, we have in front of us. You know, it's like the saying, a man's life really only starts when he realizes that he only has one. You know, it's like just really noticing that this life that we're surrounded by is fucking all of ours. It's not for anyone else to be lived. We can't be living through anyone else. We can't allow people to live through us. You know, we have the potential to really, you know, make the life that we want. And I think a lot of people need to start to realize that and, you know, just fucking go all in.
100%. Like I couldn't agree more. This is sort of where I'm at on my journey. I'm at a lot of places. This journey is like a spider web to me. You know, you go across one sort of strand of the web, and then you got like 3 other fucking directions you can go, and it leads you somewhere else. But everything seems to just link up. I actually don't even know where the fuck I was going with that. That's my ADD brain, bro.
Mate, join the club. It's happened to me when I was beating the chair too.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not too sure where I was heading with that.
Spider strands.
That's the spider strand thing. Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on.
Sweet.
Yeah. Have you got anything? You know, with everything that you've got going on, and everything that you do, you talk about holding space for yourself. I want to see if there's some space that I can create for you right now. If there's anything that you want to share from the heart, like it's one thing I've learned at, you know, these sharing circles. Everyone always used to be talking, and I would be sitting there not listening, but thinking about what I'm about to say. You know, even just like things like that with my ADD brain, like as soon as something arises, I've learned to let it go straight away, you know. But I have learnt now that speaking from the heart, you know, just getting yourself into that present moment and just expressing, you know, observing what you're feeling, thinking, whatever, and just expressing whatever you want. Want to see if there's anything that you would like to share.
I guess, you know, nothing too deep, bro, is sort of coming up for me. But I think, you know, I'm in this sort of situation where I sort of got to learn to let go and to allow myself to notice that, you know. I guess the other thing what's on my mind right now is just the way, you know, things have unfolded this week in terms of some other external things, but I think, you know, I can talk about off air. But yeah, bro, I think, you know, in terms of holding space, I think, you know, I can regulate myself pretty well. And, you know, I think by holding space for me, I do it quite quite well on my own accord. You know, I'm always out training, and that's my time to sort of meditate, I guess you could say. So, you know, I'm very blessed in the way that I'm aware of who I am to the depth of my core, and you know, I can, you know, if I ever do feel like I am, you know, seeking reassurance or, you know, seeking space to be held, I'm quite happy and comfortable by doing that. But no, bro, I think, you know, sitting here currently, there's nothing what's too major in my life what I need to share. I think, you know, like I said, I'm in a really good place at the moment. Yeah, you know, some things have sort of fallen through, but I think, you know, better things are falling together. You know what I mean? So I think I'm very aware of the processes and journeys that this life is gifting with me, and the trajectory that I'm on. I think I just got to show up every single day the best way I know how to, and that's what I'm doing. I think I've definitely learnt the art of letting go in a lot of forms over the last, you know, 6 to 12 months with expectations that I hold on myself. It's like I've just had to hold, like, surrender to the process of life. I used to hold so much resistance to what I feel like is to come, and you know, I always had this really rigid plan of how my life was going to go. But I think now I've quite literally just cut the rope. I've cut the anchor between my expectations and what reality really is. So I'm sort of like this. Best way I can describe it is like I'm like a free butterfly right now, just flying in the wind. You know what I mean? Just sort of, just allowing myself to, you know, just allowing myself to go where the wind takes me. You know, the place I'm in right now is like I said, it's super healthy, and I can appreciate everything, what's going on and what's happened in my life in the last, you know, 10 months, I guess you could say. I guess my life has changed in more ways than I can ever imagine when I started posting content. You know, I probably wouldn't be here right now if I didn't start posting content, or, you know, allowing myself to speak freely. I think for a long time there, I held myself back because of the fear of judgment, the fear of failure. Oh, what's that person going to think if I post this video? I just fucking cut that. I just cut that right off. And, you know, that's been something it's actually changed my life. You know, I've gained a bit of a following now, and, you know, the rewards of that is just by showing up every day consistently and, you know, putting in the effort to be able to, I guess, allow other people to know that they are worthy. And that, you know, I think for the longest time, because I didn't feel any self-worth growing up, and I was always resorting to external factors, whether drugs, alcohol, reassurance, validation, I lacked so much self-worth, and I think I don't want anyone else to feel like that. So if I can instill that in someone else, then my job's done. But I don't want to stop at one person, bro. I want to fucking change the world, man. And
there's no limit. I was going to say sky's the limit. There is no limit.
yeah, 100%. And like, if I can instill that in other people in their own journey, then that'll change my life. You know, before I sort of went into my phase of drug addiction by leading into the wrong circle, I had a really good friend. He you know, unalived himself, and that was when I was, you know, really, you know, I guess exposed to men's mental health, and if I can change one male's life by speaking some affirmations into them, then my life's changed. And you know, I get a lot of people reach out to me and they just say thank you, and like that fills me up, man. Like fucking knowing that the service that I provide is really helping people and helping someone, like that's all I could ever ask for. I'm rich. I'm the most richest man in the world. You know what I mean?
Got a big heart, bro. It's good.
Thank you, bro.
You literally do have a big heart to be able to punch that much energy out there.
Yeah, thanks, man. And like some days I don't feel like doing content, and you know, but I just have to keep showing up for myself and those around me, because you know, if they can't do it for themselves, I just want to be able to give someone some hope.
And they're true words too, guys. They are the easiest way to sort of determine if something's real or not real. You know, if you have a belief or a thought, an idea, a story that makes you feel like shit and is negative, you've picked up a false story on the way. Like this guy's talking some real good talk that's just truth. And a lot of, you know, sometimes it's not going to be what you want to hear, but it will be what you need.
100%, man.
And you're seeing it for a reason. Like I'm a huge believer that, you know, if something crosses your path, good or bad, it's crossing your path for a reason, because it just wouldn't be crossing your path otherwise. You know, I don't believe in coincidence.
No way. There's no such thing as coincidence. Everything is a lesson. Everything is a teaching. People come into your life for seasons or reasons. You can learn so much from absolutely everything and anything. There's nothing that's not giving you a lesson or a teaching in any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely. Just want to touch on one more thing.
Yeah, brother.
You've spoken about this self-worth that you struggle with. Can I ask if you'd share how you picked that up on the way?
I think I just didn't feel. I think I actually reflected on this yesterday in my own time that I was sharing with myself, and it was I come across a question and it said, "What's one thing that you always thought to be true but now you know isn't?" And I dug it really deep within my own self, and I thought the answer what I come up with was I always thought that I wasn't lovable from in a romantic sense and from other people around me. Because of growing up, I always searched for the external validation. My parents are awesome. I've got a really incredible family. They smothered me with love, but I didn't allow myself to be able to feel that growing up, I don't think. I'm not too sure why, if I'm going to be honest, brother, but I think I decided to notice that I had no self-worth when I was resorting to drugs and alcohol to feel a sense of self-worth, or I was navigating myself into, women to be able to feel a sense of self-worth, having a physical touch in lust to be able to feel a sense of self-worth. So I think, and I've grappled with that question quite a bit the last, couple of days, is I never thought that I was lovable. Now it's funny because I've held so much space for myself and I've done so much internal work. It's like, no, I deserve to be loved so much. And I think it took away from that journey of noticing my embodiments of self-love and self-worth, was just a reflection of who I was internally. And I never used to be, growing up, I was a shit kid, man. I was a fucking shit kid, bro.
I think I was pretty good. I was an angel. I turned.
Really? Yeah.
I turned bad.
I was always, getting suspended, expelled, always. I was just a shit kid. And that was just a byproduct of me trying to receive validation.
What the shit kid like school and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, just,
What's your thoughts on school?
My thoughts on school is I think the mainstream is brainwashing people.
I think you knew that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Like I just never followed I've never followed the, I guess, lineal path that everyone else is expected to be on. Always in and out of classes. I finished up my school at TAFE, so it was a bit of a secondary option because I just didn't fit in the normal means of society. And even now I feel like I don't, but I always feel like an outcast, and I still do. If I'm in a room full of 20 people, I feel like I'm just a singular individual, you know what I mean? And that's probably something that I grapple with for the rest of my life, but I think it's worked out in my favour because I'm so self-aware because of it. So yeah, I always just, I'm not sure if I've answered your question properly, but
no,
yeah.
you have. You definitely have. Like I don't know where some things, where I've picked up some things as well. You understand, that you pick something up that's false, like, that you're not lovable or that you're not capable or not good enough, whatever. I go through the same things as well. I know where one of them's come from, a school teacher in grade 3. And this is where I was actually going. This has triggered that thing that I lost before. It's about, those stories that we do pick up on the way. There's a lot of them, and I don't know if about past lives or anything. I know there's a lot of talk about it, but we very well may carry something over, or, while we're in mama's belly, she might be experiencing that self-worth as well from something that she may have picked up that may, I don't know how it works. I'm not a scientist, but that's sort of how I see things within myself. And yeah, there's some things that I don't really know where I've picked it up, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe my mum had it, or maybe it's a past life thing. I haven't really explored the past life thing yet, which I do want to do this in ceremony, but there's been some other things that I've needed to explore within my own psyche, that I've picked up on this journey, and I feel pretty clear, the way that I best sort of describe it to people is, we are all the same. If you want to go back to, your true self, it is just that pure loving awareness. And you start that, when you're born, or, in mama's gut, I'm not too sure, but sort of like a blank canvas, and then you pick up all these stories, you know, your name, you go to school, you know, all this information, mum and dad pass on to your school, passes on to your friends and family. True, false, who knows at this point? You got no idea. But you do create these things within yourself, about the world, and you carry them. You don't know what to do with them at the time. You carry them through your life, and the bad ones, they sort of stay hidden, and they can play a part in running the show of your whole life, you know, without you knowing. And we're literally like looking through this filter in a present moment of all of these stories, you know, or from awareness, we're looking at this, you know, through all of these stories, a filter of all of these stories. And it can get so, I guess, foggy. The window can get grimy and fogged up. And, you know, if you don't wipe it, you're not going to really remember what the world is like. But you can actually use awareness as like a really safe place, like that place of resting in natural great peace. Like sit there as just awareness, pure loving awareness as you are, and just literally just observe and witness and watch. You know, use your 5 senses to pick up everything that you're experiencing in that present moment, physical and non-physical. You know, the non-physical is that world of thought, feeling, and power, like I touched on before, and then you've got the physical, you know, which is everything's just unfolding within you and without you. You know, that consciousness is just forever unfolding, and you as awareness can you can literally sit back and take a rest and watch there. It's a place of comfort.
100%, brother. Very well said, for sure.
Thanks, bro. Sort of got lost in that then.
Bless.
Yeah. Man, thanks so much. I think we leave it at that. That's about an hour long or so.
Perfect.
I just want to say thanks again for, you know, taking the time out of your morning and of your training as well. I started a bit earlier, so I got mine in. It's all about me.
It's all good, brother. I got mine in earlier too, don't worry.
Where can people find you?
So yeah, on Instagram, just at Lockie Welch, and then TikTok is Lockie Welch. I've got some good things coming up with a rebrand of my own podcast that'll be coming up pretty soon. So
what's that called again?
It's called The Awake and Aware, but I'm rebranding it to a different name, which I won't be putting out just yet. So yeah, follow along there. There'll be updates throughout everything, and yeah, brother, I really want to take the time and say, you know, thank you for allowing me to have me into your space and inviting me into your beautiful home. You've got something really cool setting up here, and man, I'm with you along for the journey, and I'm excited to see where you go.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Of course, I am.
Did you want to give the guys a sign off?
Look, I hope this episode is, you know, rang true with you guys, and if anything is coming up for you, just allow yourself to hold the space that you know that you desire, and you know, don't allow yourself to shy away from everything that is, you know, I guess stuck in the way of your own journey. I think we all have this this unwavering belief in ourselves that is absolutely incredible, and the knowing that within your own self is a beacon of positivity and a beacon of love for those around you. I think that's really important to embody. If you're ever in a time of need, don't ever be a stranger to reach out to anyone else around you. You know, someone else breathes easier because you're breathing, and I think that's really important to capitalize on, and, you know, notice the worth that you embody. So yeah, if this episode is, you know, tickled your fancy like it has for us, I am absolutely grateful for that, and appreciate everyone for tuning in for the hour long it's been. So yeah, from me, that's all. Big love. But yeah, I'll hand it back over to the big dog.
I love that. That's your sign off on Instagram. Big love.
That's it.
I love it. It's all love's the answer. It truly is.
It is, brother.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing that sign off, man. I appreciate you. I know there's many others that appreciate you too. So from me and from all the collective, I give many thanks. Thanks, bro.
I appreciate it, man.
All right. Hope you guys enjoyed. Take it easy. Bye-bye now.
Ciao.